Hey guys, in this video, we're going to be talking about writing equations in standard form. So there are 3 rules that you have to make sure that you follow in order for an equation to be in standard form. First, you have to have it ax plus by equals c. And it's important to note that a, b, and c are numbers. So a and b are both coefficients. A is a coefficient of x, B is a coefficient of y, and C is a constant. So you want to get the x term first, then the y term, and have it equal to a constant. A, B, and C cannot be fractions, and they cannot be decimals either. So we want positive and negative whole numbers, or integers, in other words. And the last rule is that A, that number in front of x, has to be positive. So let's see how that works. So first we're going to change a point slope form equation into standard form. So I'm going to start by distributing the slope so that I can make it a little more simple. So now I have y minus 1 equals negative 2/5 x minus 6/5. Now the next thing that I notice is that I have fractions here. And I'm going to want to get rid of them. So because the denominators are the same, I'm going to go ahead and multiply the entire equation by that denominator because that will get rid of my fractions. So I'm going to multiply everything by 5. So not just these 2 fractions, but the y and the negative 1 as well. So 5 times y is 5y. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. I still have an equal sign. 5 times negative 2/5 is negative 2x. And 5 times negative 6/5 is negative 6. So now I've gotten rid of the fractions and I don't have to worry about it anymore. We also could have done that in the first step, but it's okay if you do it in the second. Okay, so now what I want to do is get the constants over on the right and both variable terms over on the left. Doesn't matter which one you start with. I'm going to go ahead and move the 5 first. Since it is negative, I'm going to add it over to the other side, and I'm going to add it with the other constant, which is negative 6. So now I have 5y equals negative 2x minus 1. The last thing I need to do is get that x term over on the left. It's negative here, so I'm going to add it over to the other side. It is not like terms with the 5y, so I can't combine them together, but since I want it in standard form, the x term is going to come first. So 2x, then plus 5y equals negative 1. All right, so let's do a check. I have x term, y term equal to a constant. I have no fractions or decimals, and my a term is positive. So that means this is the standard form of the equation that we started with. They represent the same line, but they are written in different forms. All right, let's try one that starts as slope-intercept form. So the first thing that I notice is this fraction here. I want to get rid of it. So to make sure that you can see what I'm doing here, I'm going to rewrite the equation. So y equals negative 7 over 2x plus 5. To get rid of this fraction, I'm going to multiply by its denominator, which in this case is 2. 2 times y is 2y equals 2 times negative 7 over 2 is negative 7x plus 2 times 5 is 10. All right, now I got to get this x term over to the other side. Right now it's negative, so I am going to add it this way. So now I have 7x plus 2y equals 10. All right, x term, y term equals the constant. No fractions or decimals. A is positive, so this is my standard form equation. All right, let's try a couple more problems here. This time, we are not given an equation. We're only given 2 points. So the first thing we're going to have to find is the slope. So we have 8, negative 4, and negative 6, negative 11. All right, so I'm going to do negative 11 minus negative 4 over negative 6 minus 8. So up top, I'm going to get negative 7. On the bottom, I am going to get, it's going to be negative, and 8 and 6 make 14. This will simplify to 1/2. So I know that my slope is 1/2. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one of the 2 points. It doesn't matter which one you pick. I'm just going to choose the one that is, well, it's not really smaller, but has less negatives. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now you can do one of two things. You can start by finding the y-intercept and writing it in slope-intercept form, or we can take the point and the slope and write it in point-slope form. I'm going to choose the latter because I think it's a little bit less work, but it's up to you what you want to do. So point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right, so I'm going to put -4 in for y1. So I have y minus -4, which is y plus 4, equals my m is a half. And inside I have x minus my x1, which is 8. All right, so it's in point slope form, but I want it to be in standard form. This time I'll get rid of the fraction first so you can kind of see what that looks like. So I got to get rid of a half, and the easiest way to do that is multiply by 2. So I'm going to multiply everything by 2 here. 2 times y is 2y. 2 times 4 is 8. And then over here, when I multiply 2 by a half, those are going to equal 1. So I'm just left with 1 times x, which is just x, and 1 times -8, which is -8. So the 1/2 being out in front, that would eventually have been multiplied by these two terms, takes care of the 2 for us. All right, so now we got to start getting it into standard form. I'm going to move this 8 over to the constant side, and I'm going to do that by subtraction. So now I have 2y equals x minus 16. Then move the x on over the other way. And I have run out of room, so I'm going to write it this way. So now I have -x plus 2y equals -16. All right, I've got x, y equals a constant. I don't have any fractions or decimals, but I do have a negative in front of the x, which I need to get rid of. And the easiest way to do that, multiply the entire equation by -1. -1 times -x is positive x. -1 times 2y is -2y equals -1 times -16 is positive 16. So now we have x, y equals a constant, no fractions, decimals, and the x term is positive. So this is my standard form equation. Let's try one more. It's the same as the top one. We have 2 points. So we're going to start by finding the slope. So I'm going to do 8 minus -12. Those are my y's. And then I have -9 minus 1. All right, 8 minus -12 is really 8 plus 12, which is 20. And -9 minus 1 is -10, which means my slope is -2. I am going to choose, let's work with the second one this time. So again, we have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right, so y minus y1, so minus -12, which is really plus 12, equals m is -2 times x minus x1, so minus 1. Distribute that 2. So now I have y plus 12 equals -2x plus 2. Get the constants over to the right. So subtract 12. So now I have y plus 12 equals -2x minus 10. Oops, this 12 should not be here. I just got rid of it. So this is just y. Now I'm going to add the x term over to the other side to get 2x plus y equals -10. We have x, y equals constant, no fractions or decimals. A term is positive, so this is my standard form equation. And that's it. That's how you write equations in standard form.